comments, and I'll see how many people join. There's a lot of topics to talk about. We could get into a lot of topics about the world and everything that's going on in it right now. Uh, Traditionally, and well, I don't know if traditionally is the right word, but usually on my channel and channels similar to mine, where we all talk about similar topics, uh, we believe that all the distractions in the world are, you know, distractions that are like we kind of have a belief that it's a spiritual distraction. So, and the reality has revved it up lately, where I mean it's everywhere, and all of these are meant to distract you from being who you really are and becoming self-actualized. Is the way I usually word it. That's what all the distractions are for, right? So the distraction of the ice raids, uh, the rumors of wars, the capture of the Venezuelan president, the complete massacre of people in Iran, uh, Russia now potentially claiming that they might drop nukes on Germany and uh, I think the UK. All of that all at once is just this reality attempting to provoke us to put our energy towards all those things, and and it and it can be hard. I ain't gonna lie, like I'm seeing all these headlines and it's pulling me in, and I'm just like, there's a channel I listen to called Quantum of Conscience, and Matt is the guy. His name is Matt, and he says, "Worry about yourself. Worry about yourself." And I think that what he means by that is during all this time, like if we just worry about ourselves in the sense that, and what I mean is if we worry about ourselves individually on an individual level, like where we're worried about just fulfilling who we are and becoming self-actualized and not be bothered by those things. It sounds it sounds negligent. It sounds almost like, well, you can't ignore problems, right? You can't um you, hold on, my son's distracted me, like he's talking and I'm distracted. Um so I was about to go to bed just a moment, and on a whim I decided to get on here. So far we're 4 minutes going on 4 minutes into this, but anyways, these distractions, what was I saying? Like, it's designed to prevent us from self-actualizing, basically. And what we should be doing is uh, focusing on ignoring it. Oh, that's what I was going to say. So basically, we're taught to ignore. Uh, Man, I'm legitimately tired. My bad. Um, okay, I know what I was going to say now. Um, when I speak in that way and I say to worry about yourself and ignore those things, I'm literally talking about ignoring those things, right, that are going on in the world, even if it feels like it could affect you. Which with that, you kind of have to have faith, you know. Uh, and honestly, I hate hearing that. I hate hearing somebody tell me that you got to have faith. Uh, um, all of my life, I've always heard people talk about, oh, you got to have faith. And just put, when I was a Christian, it's just like, oh, well, you just got to have faith, man. You got to have faith. And, that's where it's really hard for me. It's easy for someone that has a good life to say, oh, you got to have faith, because they know that they're waking up in a nice warm bed the next day, and they don't have any kind of major problems to worry about, and so they'll have faith, like, oh, I'm gonna pray for a new car. Man, my old car's not running good, so I'm gonna have faith that the Lord will help me pick the car that is suitable, and the one that the Lord wants me to get. And so they'll say that. So I'm gonna have faith that God will show me the right car to get. And then he goes like looking for a car, and he finds a good deal on one, and then like he leaves the lot, or the person he's buying the car from, and he's like, oh my God, see, it's a miracle. Like, I see Billy, you just had faith, and like, it's got X amount of miles on it, and blah blah blah. And it's like you're trying to apply faith to something that's just a nothing. It's nothing. Like, it's like, so when I hear people tell me just have faith, it's like, what are you even saying? People will try to tell me just have faith that everything works out okay. Just have faith and it'll all work out okay. And all that stuff. So it's baloney. So, but what I am trying to say is that usually we talk about like ignoring the reality, and when that's going on around us, even if it seems like it's going to affect you personally. Um, and by doing so, and this is just a, not even for me personally, I'm going to speak for myself personally. I'm not even going to say that that's a belief of mine, because I feel like if I neglect, like if I ignore the things that are going on in the world, and if I ignore my personal problems, then ultimately life will get worse, right? So let's just say, for example, I'm going to worry about myself and have faith in my circumstance. If I were to just do that, then that would mean I would just not think about personal problems, and I would just start spending my time working on art and making art and selling art, and then just have faith, and not worry about the world around me, and just trust that process. And somehow, because I have faith and do that, then somehow that means like these mysterious doors will begin opening for me, and then like people will want to buy my art, and people will, you know, like some magical manifestation happens, or some magical unfolding will happen. And the probability of that happening is very slim. And I know this because I have made art over the years, ever since I quit my art brand, and I dismantled my art brand, and I've made some mediocre art ever since then, over the past 5 years, right? And while I haven't been able to go put myself out there like I used to, um, I have still kind of like very lightly promoted it here and there, more like posting it on social media. You know what I'm saying? And that's about it. I don't go do anything beyond that. Like, so in other words, I'm not putting much effort into selling it, but I'm making it from time to time, occasionally here and there, and it's mediocre at best, right? And or not even good at all. Some of them aren't even good at all, right? And and during those times I've found time to do it. Uh, Hi Jones Antonio 29. What's up? So uh, I haven't put myself out there to sell it, but I have made it, and and I have maybe like five works of art right now that technically I could sell, but I don't sell them. I don't try to sell them. And howdy, post nostalgos has showed up. Um, so, but yeah, I don't put myself out there like I used to. It's just like I dabble here and there, right? And and technically I've completed a few of those very mediocre works that I was talking about. Um, so let's just pretend like I make those pieces of art and then just have faith. Just make the art and have faith, uh, and start the process. Well, I've already been through that. I've already been an artist. I have already been an artist that gets out there and sells art. Okay. I've done a world renowned art show, the Raw art show, where people pay tickets to get into the event just to see the art and potentially buy art in the art show, right? I've had a display at the Raw art show, and and I don't think they do it anymore. I don't think they may still do the art show, but after COVID they quit doing it. And but my point is I've already been an artist that sells, right? That sells art. And so I know what it takes, the process of building of creating art. So I don't know if I personally don't believe that if I just start the process and have faith, then things are gonna unfold, because I already know what that is like. I already know what that process is like, and then if I ignore life around me, magical things are not going to unfold, and and so and then I'll start selling my art. That's not going to happen logically. What's up, Rudy? Post nostalgos. I was just on here talking about uh worry about yourself, and how I understand it, and and how the reality just seems to heavily be distracting us right now, where it's and I listed off all these things that are happening in the world. I just ate cereal. I just ate cereal too. Uh, I had uh, I had Fruit Loops. I had junk food, okay, but but I had Fruit Loops and Lucky Charms, and so like I I I wanted to save some Fruit Loops for my son, and I realized they were running low, and so I had some Lucky Charms left over, so I filled it half with Lucky Charms and half with Fruit Loops. And let me look. Yeah, it's FROOTLOOPS currently, anyway. Life Hot Cocoa flavor from Ollie's. Huh. I don't know. I've never heard of that. Um, uh, but we have an Ollie's here. I don't know if it's the same one. The old man, the cartoon old man, like, you know what I'm talking about. Um, that's what we have down the street here. But but okay, yeah. I think everybody likes that place. It's a pretty decent place with some good deals. You just gotta find them whenever they happen. But yeah, I was talking about how you got the reality trying to distract us, it seems like anyway, that you got arrest of Venezuelan president, the stuff with ICE going on, uh, massacre in Iran. Then you got Russia potentially saying that they could nuke Europe, and there was something else too. But that Minnesota thing, I'm kind of including that. Well, we'll just include that Minnesota thing, but ICE is there in Minnesota, so it's kind of like the blending of the two. Yeah, surplus store. That's right. You know, it's funny. The last time I was in that place, the judge that sent my son to go live with his mom was alone and shopping in there. And I ain't gonna lie, this not saying I would do it, but just the flash, one of those what do you call those thoughts? Fleeting intrusive thoughts went through my mind of just like not beating them up. You know what I mean? Like, not that I would do that, but I'm just saying like man, I just like I'm right here right now. Like I could do it. But he probably didn't even know who I was. Uh, but yeah. So distraction shenanigans. Uh, so all these things trying to distract it, and I was just saying earlier, like it pulls me in, like it intrigues me, and so I was thinking about like worry about yourself, like Matt says, and so which I interpret that to mean that you ignore those things and you focus on self constructing from within, self actualization, and pursuing what you want to do with life and worrying about your own life, and it's the idea of having faith that as long as you do that, things will just generally work out for you, right? And that's the way I interpret all that. And and where you showed up on the feed, um, is where I was trying to describe how like I don't have that faith necessarily, because I've always been told to have faith, especially when I was going to church. And in retrospect, all the people that would be telling me to have faith and stuff, it's like they've got it made. Like they don't have any like problems that they're with money, and it's all these people that got everything in their life going for them already are the ones that would chime up and be like, "Oh, just have faith." And if I were to just, for example, just ignore all the problems and start making art, then all of a sudden my bills are going to get behind. All of a sudden, life is just going to fall apart while and I get like you could have like mindfulness and be um like and make like a strategic plan to do certain things at like I get all that. I'm not in a position to where I can even do. I don't have the stability to just make plans like that. I would need stability first to have that kind of plan making kind of I'm gonna read comments in a minute, but I'm just talking. Uh and I already know what it's like to be an active artist that sells art because I've done it, and I know what it would take for me to get to a place to where I could sell art again and make art again. But I don't think that like even right now making a plan to do it isn't feasible, because I'm just constantly in survival mode, and so I live job to job to job, and I'm behind on some bills right now. Hope you have a good day. H-HM36 says, hope you have a good day. Talk it up with God today. Ask God to forgive you for any wrongdoings you slipped up on recently. Jesus cares about you. I appreciate that. I'm not a Christian. I'm no longer a Christian, and I'm not a believer. And but I appreciate your comment. I used to be a believer. Um, Post Nostalgo says, I heard a funny joke earlier. I hope to one day be rich enough to tell people that money doesn't buy happiness. I hope. That is funny. I mean, I would like to have enough money to where I don't have to think about money, you know. Um, and I've met a number of rich people, and it's like when you hear them talk just about life and stuff, they're not even like there's a different kind of lexicon, a different kind of you can sense it off of them, like they just don't have any real pressure in their life. They're just talking about trivial things that don't even matter, and it's like they and so I stole this from somebody, but I want to have enough money. That doesn't mean, I mean, it doesn't matter if I'm rich or not. That ain't the point. But like, just have enough money to where you don't even have to like think about money, right? And so like a lot of these rich people, some of them are some of my customers too, and it's like they really don't have any worries, like, and and the you can sense that lightness that they have, like, because they're not worried about it, And I've even been around rich people. One of my customers in Florida who moved down to Florida, I went down to his house in Florida, and they were just making up problems, like they didn't have any problems, but they were just. I was sitting there in a room with him, his wife, and this friend of theirs, and I was listening to them in this gated community, like where you needed a code to get in, and the houses were super really nice, um and uh and so they're in there talking, and I remember thinking to myself, these problems are made up. They are making up problems. I don't remember what they were talking about exactly, but I wish I would have noted that down. But yeah, that's so funny. That joke makes sense. I heard a funny joke earlier. I hope one day to be rich enough to tell people that money doesn't buy happiness. That's great. Um, but I feel with my current, I've been struggling with this, like belief systems, like even the stuff that we talk about. Like I've struggled all through Christianity, right? And so because I struggled through Christianity, I can't have faith like that and stuff. Like because it not only did not render anything positive, it actually, as a result of having those beliefs, it rendered negative. In fact, I'd attribute my belief in that Christian stuff. Um, I could attribute it to a lot of the hardship I went through because I kept seeing reality through that lens for so long, basically living in a pseudo reality, perception of reality where by seeing the world through that lens and trying to apply that in real life, like for example, I wouldn't get no girls being a Christian at all, right? But then when I got grounded and became aware of real reality, you know, uh, I could finally get a date, because I ditched the Christian beliefs. And oh, well, look at that. Like, and I had to like unlearn all the stuff that I learned from the romance programming, that the Victorian era romance programming that the church uh, purport, per, promotes. So basically, the church with their romance and they'll tell you, like that God has a special someone for you, the soulmate twin, the soulmate story is a Christian, like the soulmate story is a Christian myth perpetuated by the church and rom-coms. Like going to church and going to church and learning about, but also I went to Protestant churches, Baptists, Church of God, and other Pentecostal type of churches like Assemblies of God, Presbyterian, those people. When you go to church and learn about getting married and what God's plan is, it's just like watching a rom com, and it's kind of in the realm of fantasy a little bit because it's a movie and it's a rom com. And when you go to church, it's like they're telling you, well, actually, this fantasy that you saw in the rom com, it's actually real. God has a special person for you out there, and it's going to be your wife. And so they perpetuate the romance fantasy and basically tell you that it's true and that it's real and it's going to happen. As long as you give your life to the Lord, and God, God sends you a helpmate. And so they push that onto you. Um, uh, what I'm saying is I'm struggling. Uh, 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 I have struggled with my personal beliefs, but my beliefs are currently are more logic based, as you already know. They are more based on just rationality, not some kind of feeling or actual belief, but just like the closest thing that we can logically derive is that the only thing we know is I exist and there's some kind of force. I forget exactly how Matt words it. He talks about how, like, one page reality or one paragraph reality, we just exist on this in this realm, and there's some kind of dark force that wants to distract us and prevent us from becoming our full selves. And through logic and deduction, that's the only thing that does make sense. That we're here to work towards self actualization, and there's some kind of force that tries to distract us and prevent us from stepping into that. She just got a feeling about being chased. Had nothing to do with God or saving herself for marriage. Yep. That's right. It's that feeling. So that's where I'm at. I decided to hop on here real quick and make a quick live. Didn't know if there was any topics. Is there any topics that you would like to bring up? While I wait for your reply on that, I was talking with Amber. Now, Amber emailed me, and I received the email, and I have not emailed her back because I forgot. And then I remembered, and then I got busy. But it turns out she had emailed me twice before that. And I did not get those emails. Like, I did not get a notification, or I looked over it, or I missed it, or something. And she was talking about, she was saying she wishes that she could talk to us. And I said, well, I mean, there's a possibility. And I told her that you do the Reality Benders podcast thing, and so that's could be a possibility. I don't know. And I was like, if I could figure out how to get you on a live video, then I could possibly do that. And I was like, I wouldn't mind, bringing you on and have a conversation. And oh, huh. Rudy says I was talking about post nostalgos. I was talking about that YouTube video of that Christian girl that was saving herself for marriage. I think you missed a few of my replies. Oh yeah, you're talking about Amber, aka Glaive. Uh, Captain Magicono Kirk, what's up? Uh, says I'm not sure what I joined into. Well, you've jumped into the secret Illuminati meeting that goes on behind the scenes. Accidentally put it on YouTube. uh, I'll try to sum it up. I got on here and I was talking about how the reality has distracted us so lately with a lot. It's like pushing it on us, right? Like trying to get us distracted with the top headlines all at once, being ICE, being capturing Venezuelan president, massacre over in Iran, potentially Russia nuking Europe, literally, and then like the Minnesota thing, and then much, much more. It's almost like it's like really trying to like distract. And I was personally talking about how like, my understanding of worry about yourself is the act of ignoring all those things, those distractions, as well as distractions in your own life, things where you can see that it seems like the reality is trying to distract you, and ignoring those things and then focusing on yourself, self-actualization, and to, build your own life up and not worry about those things. And where I don't have faith is and I find it hard to have faith in the idea of having faith. Like I can't have faith. And so if I begin doing the things that I want, then obviously my bills aren't going to get paid and I'm going to lose everything. Nothing magical is going to happen if I just worry about myself other than get through survival, right? In my case, right? And so I missed the memo. I just randomly hopped up on here on a whim. I was about to go to bed and I was like, I'm gonna do a live. Post Nostalgia says nothing I want to bring up though. I should start making more videos again. Been sick the past 3 weeks. Oh man. Hope you're doing better. It's all constant distraction. Always was, but even more rapid fire now. Yeah, it's weird, and it's like I'm trying to avoid it. Like I'm trying to ignore it, but I feel like it's unavoidable to some extent. Like the best way, just off the top of my head, like I could just try not to look at anything in the headlines. I just feel kind of like it affects me, it will affect us. But if we're worrying about ourselves, then I probably shouldn't even look at the headlines, like Rudy was talking about. Like he doesn't look at the headlines. I don't have faith, just a knowing. Faith implies my mind can be changed in some way. Oh, okay. I don't have faith, just a knowing. Faith implies my mind can be changed in some way. I feel you on that. I lately I've been reverting back to being technically you could say to some extent an atheist, but not a complete atheist, because logically that doesn't make sense. You know what I mean? I'm rationally deducing. I'm kind of like in a, not even agnostic either, because I believe that like there is some power, there is some kind of greater thing, and and I, my personal knowing is just like, my personal knowing is just like like I know that I gotta survive, and that's it. You know, I don't know anything else. I know that I'm gonna have to move very soon, and and a lot of the time I never know what's going to happen. When things come up outside of my control, I'm never really prepared for it, and I just have to like let it hit me and then climb my way out of it each time. Really, I would like to be able to feel confident in knowing like that. You know, if you didn't look at the headlines, they wouldn't even affect you. But somehow somebody will bring up the news, and I'll just and bring it to your attention anyway. Yeah. So my best, most logical conclusion, as we all kind of like talk about, it's like there's some kind of force, it seems, at play trying to distract us, and it's going to find all kinds of different ways to try to uh, distract us. I just now learned this last week, I think, and I never thought about it. And that somebody was saying that news means north, east, west, south is like an acronym. I guess that's probably true. I didn't look it up. Kirk continues to say the reality will always send agents and rabbits to jump out and tell you what to be distracted by. That's funny you mentioned that. When you say rabbits, I don't know what you mean by rabbits exactly, uh but rabbits to jump out, and uh so I think you mean that kind of like in a metaphorical sense, or whatnot. And today I decided to like this afternoon. I decided to just like, or this morning, because I got out really early. I was gonna like lay down for a couple minutes, and I had this video playing of of a Nazi nurse, and and how she helped the uh, do medical experiments on people, and they were talking about what her punishment was during the Nuremberg trials, and or whatever court that she went to, uh and I was dozing off. Like I had that playing. It was like a 34-minute video, and I just had my eyes closed and I was just listening to it. But I kept dozing off, and so I didn't really quite get the whole story. So I'm gonna have to like go back and review it. And I just remember them like mentioning rabbits and talking about like the experiments that she did on the people and the rabbits, and I'm like, and it caused me to kind of like wake up a little bit. Like I was like asleep, and then my brain just goes rabbits, and then I'm just like, and then I'm more like awake instead of dozing off, because I'm trying to like make sense of what I just heard. And apparently there's something that they called rabbits. I don't know if they meant literal rabbits, or if there was like a certain name for a certain type of group of people or something. I don't know. I'm gonna have to go look at that. But it's just funny you say that, because it makes me think of that rabbits to jump out, because that's what I experienced when I was listening to that. I kind of delve into World War tattoo stuff here and there, and like man, I seen a picture of Heimlich Himmler with no hat on, and he had like shaved on the side and then like hair on the top like this, but he had his head shaved on the side. And I was like, holy crap, that he's got his head shaved on the side and the hair on top of like that. And I was like, that's wild. And here's why that's wild. Now, I mentioned this before. I used to have coffee with this guy, and I never told him this, but he looked like Heinrich Himmler. He looked just like, he even had the round glasses. And he had the exact face of Heinrich Himmler, I'm telling you. And what's funny is he had a military surplus store, and he did war reenactments. Oh my god, it was Civil War reenactments, but still, I mean, just the guy looked like Himmler. And when I seen Himmler with no hat on and the shaved sides, I was like, oh my god, that guy had that exact same haircut. And I didn't notice that until like today. I saw Himmler's haircut. I was like, that's when he used to come into Starbucks. He had his hair just the same way, man. It's like, shit. That's wild. Oh, man. Reality will jump out with you, rabbit. So, Post No Style Goes continues. Yeah, what Kirk said, my wife brings up stuff all the time, which is fine. It still doesn't affect me. Yeah, you kind of like let it roll off like water, right? Like clouds floating in the sky kind of thing, I guess. Not allow yourself to be consumed by it or affected by it. You kind of see it there, but you're just like, oh, okay. I'm more of a Gnostic rather than an agnostic. Do you want to do a little trivia? Uh, uh, well, I mean, what do you got? What do you want to bring up? Um, Let me know. Sounds like a Humpty Dumpty to me. Oh yeah, like I hear Matt mention it, and you guys mentioned the Humpty Dumpty. I don't know if you can tell me exactly what y'all mean by that. Humpty Dumpty sat on a wall. Humpty Dumpty had a great fall. All the king's horses and all the king's men couldn't put Humpty together again. So it's one kind of an analogy, but I don't know how to put the pieces together on that one. No pun. Rabbits like chasing rabbits down their holes. Yeah, okay. Me personally, I just don't take any of the stuff from the screen seriously. Yeah, that the screen. I never. That's cool. You mentioned that, like, because I haven't thought of it that way in a while. Right, I haven't thought of the screen in a long while. It's all a joke, basically. Yeah, really good point. But my personal bubble always finds drama to distract me with instead. Yeah. That makes a lot of sense. One of the things that the reality tried to distract me personally from recently was last Friday. Today's Saturday. Not yesterday, but last Friday. Last Thursday. My nephew that's disabled, his heart stopped at school, and he had like a seizure, and his heart stopped, and somebody had to do CPR on him, and so then he had to go to the local hospital here, and then once he was doing better there, they transported him up to Charlotte to the hospital up there where his doctors are and stuff, and so it was kind of like a and immediately I was like, said to myself, that's a distraction. Like, wasn't trying to like be uh indifferent or cold-hearted towards the matter, but it's like in my heart, or it's in my knowing, for lack of a better way to word it, like I just felt that that was like a distraction. Like, that's a distraction. That's trying to distract me. I'm gonna stay focused on myself. As within, so without. Humpty Dumpty is basically that is artificially pushed, like that dump, like that dumb poem. Okay, I got you. Humpty Dumpty is basically that is artificially pushed with that poem. Uh, Gotcha. Stuff that's artificially pushed out into the reality. Gotcha. Humpty Dumpty being phrases everyone seems to know, but makes no sense why or how it came through history. Okay, I gotcha. Yeah. And so, what's new on your horizon there, Kirk? Stuff like row, row, row your boat. Right. Y'all can probably hear my son goofing off. Not much besides my diet stuff, I guess. I hear you. Well, I think for me, probably been going mostly well. Keto feels pretty good overall. Do you test to see if you're in ketosis actually, like use the strips and stuff? More coding stuff. What are you coding for? I was maybe this is not related, but earlier today, uh earlier today was I seen like a clip where that girl created the code for it's that popular picture of this girl back in like the 1950s or 60s or something, and she's got like the code to go to the moon, what it would take to go to the moon, and it's like I think like two stacks of papers that are as high as her, and whatever she our code that she came up with was what they used to go to the moon. And I just don't comprehend all that stuff. I don't know what that means. I make code for game mods basically, specifically this kind of niche game, Daggerfall Unity recreation of this old game, The Elder Scrolls. Okay, so I'm gonna screenshot that. That way, I'm gonna ask my son. Does he know anything about that? So basically, you're just adding code to the game, uh, to make it function, to make things happen in the game, like programming the game, I guess. Oh, too old for him. It seems like y'all play those older games. Um, Somebody was talking about that. About I think y'all mentioned it. Might have mentioned it that the old games are better than the new games or something. And I noticed some of the games y'all play are just like old stuff. Mods are just stuff you can add to a game. Oh, modifications. Okay. In my mind, I'm thinking of like moderators. Stuff you can add to a game. He might have at least heard of it. The older games are generally better. Modern shit mostly sucks. Yeah, I just heard that recently from somebody else, and I can't remember who it was, and it made me think of y'all because, like, I think I looked up that one game that you play, Chrono Trigger. I think is how you say it. I think I looked it up, and she knows about emulating old game systems, so Daggerfall isn't too far off. True, Chrono Trigger was from 1993, I think. Oh, okay. 90s games. Oh, yeah. Yeah, that shoot. One of these days when I have a place and I got my extra game room, I always thought about having like a game room for video games. You know, when I build my house, but I always envisioned it being like an old 1990s color TV, the kind with the two dials that you turn on each channel on, and uh, and then having my NES, and then having like a couple of arcade games in there. You know, I always thought about doing that. Can play basically anything on a PC with emulation. That's what my son has. I think I showed you that before. He's got a custom gaming PC. See, if I had not complained about games and video games and gamer and all that stuff, had I not complained about that, my son's mom would not have reactively decided to annoy me, or with the intent to annoy me, and then therefore, I guess what I'm trying to say is I manifested my son his own gaming PC just because I was talking shit about games or something. I look I look like Obama. Oh yeah, I remember yours, Rudy. Well, if I look like Obama, then I don't know what to say. I'm not that witty tonight. You manifested your son into becoming a gamer. That's true. I mean, I would have to admit that. Mr. Palad says I look like Obama. President Obama. I wish I could do like an Obama impression. Oh man. Yeah, I guess I did manifest him into becoming a gamer because yeah, I was actually worried that she would put him in front of screens and he would become addicted to screens, right? And in my head, in that courtroom, I remember thinking to myself, she's just gonna be putting him on some games, and that made me kind of frustrated. I ain't gonna lie, it made me kind of frustrated when that judge made me give him back over to her. On the bright side of it, uh, he's got friends because of it, you know, and that's a good thing. And but he does need to get off of them now and figure out a way to make money. I had that talk with him today that he has to start figuring out a way to make some money. Um, oh, also code other stuff too, but mostly Daggerfall Unity stuff. Son, are you familiar with Daggerfall Unity? He said that sounds very niche. I think you said that earlier. Hold on, hold on. One of my online buddies says he makes code specifically a niche game niche game called Daggerfall Unity. Daggerfall Unity. He does coding.
Never heard of it.
Yeah, he hasn't heard of it. We're all addicted to screens, unfortunately. The society forces that behavior now to function in it. That is true. Eyes glued to the Black Mirror. Yep. Yeah, it is a recreation of an Elder Scrolls. He said yes, it's a recreation of the Elder Scrolls game. I guess you heard him. Dagger. So the Ducks 11 knows what we talking about here. Hello. Well, fellas, I've been on here for 56 minutes. I reckon I ought to roll out. We'll leave it at that for this time. I need to take a couple of aspirin because my head aches a little bit. I think I'm gonna do that, and then I hit the hay. Y'all go check out this. Check if you haven't seen it yet. Look up. If I don't know what kind of humor y'all are into, but I'm not into gore like that. But sometimes some humor is just funny, and there's this video of Tim and Eric. It's a Tim and Eric video, and it's that guy from Saturday Night Live. I'll just have to look it up. Anyway, he sells mattresses. It's a mattress company, and it's a funny video. Tim and Eric. Maybe you could put in Tim and Eric. Will Forte. Type in Will Forte mattress company. It's hilarious. It's kind of twisted, but it's hilarious. But all right, we'll see you. See you, Rudy. Nice talking to y'all. Good to see you, Kurt. Nice talking with you. We'll talk to y'all in the next one.